Alright, here's our second flywheel. This is the left side wheel. So this is pretty far out, just like the other one was. Pull that out a little bit so you can see the whole wheel. So it's pretty far out. So I'll have to redo that. But what I just noticed is that we have no flywheel marks. So that means I got more work to do. See, this wheel here has no flywheel marks in it. And this one doesn't have them either. So that means we got to put them in. Here's a better view of the wheel I just got done balancing. So now I'm going to mark all this up. So I'm going to take these shafts out and get some balance marks on here. So here's one over here. You can see all the balancing marks on these things. So we got to put those marks on these wheels here. So I'll show you how to do that here next. Okay, we got to put balancing marks on this flywheel here. So here's a 80-inch Evo or 107 Evo motor, stock 4 1/4 stroke, 80-inch wheel. It's an S&S wheel. So there's the number if you look them up. So these are the marks we got here. This is our rear cylinder timing, our front cylinder timing, and our front top center. Top dead center marks is TF on it. And there, I'm not sure. So those are where the marks belong. So what we got to do to figure out where the marks go is we have our timing wheel here. And you put this on here and you zero it out. Your TD mark. Over here, you make sure that it's concentric to your flywheel. So now that TD mark is right there. This should be at 22.5 degrees if it's in the correct spot. And from your center point here. So we didn't mark the center of our flywheel. We go ahead and mark that here. Camera stay put. Why do you do that is you take your straight edge, you go up to the center of the two main shafts, just kind of eyeball it, and you put a mark. Then you put your straight edge over the center and see how close you are. So I just added this top center. That's the top center of the flywheel, which is not the top center for either cylinder. You can see how when you put the scale right between them, it's right about where the mark is. So you go and put the timing wheel back on here. We'll zero it off our TD mark over there. Center it up in the flywheel. I'm just making it center all the way around here, pretty even. So put our TD mark over here. Now everything comes off the concentrics, or I mean off the center line. So when you're looking at it, you can't look at it from this angle or this angle. You got to look at it right from the center point, which is pretty much where the camera is right now, I think. So we put that right on top dead center, zeroed out. It should be at 22.5 degrees, and I'm showing a slight amount of air in that. So either I'm off or they're off. Not sure. I'll do a little better look and have to get rid of the camera in my hand. I'll actually go and measure the distance between the outside of the flywheel and the degree wheel to see where my air is. But you can see that the front cylinder timing mark is over here, which is roughly about 34 degrees. Right now we got this. And the rear cylinder should be at the same number, and it's actually slightly different. So it looks like it's under 30 degrees. Let's see, it should be 45 degrees apart between this and that. So 5, 15, 25, 35, 45. So we're about a degree off over here too. So this is slightly off from where it should be. So I'll have to double check it. Like the alignment is very critical on this. The other wheel that you can buy anywhere, these little timing wheels here. This might give us a little more accuracy because it's closer to our diameter of our flywheel. So let's see if this makes it a little more accurate for us. So you always want to double check and triple check, especially when you're doing these kind of marks. Yeah, it looks a little bit better now. See, I'm about a quarter of a degree off, half a degree off. See, this one's right on 34 degrees. This one should be right here at 79, but it's 78.5 degrees. Our 0 looks good, but our TD mark right here, we're off by a degree. It should be 22.5, it's 21.25 or so. So, pretty close. So from these indications here, we can see that S&S is using 34 degrees of timing lead on the motor. So I'll go ahead and mark up this Indian flywheel at the 34 degree number. So I'm going to have to reverse do this. So I'm going to come off the center of my flywheel here, which would be not our 0 mark, but our 22.5 degree mark. Then I'll add in my other numbers. I like 35 degrees, so I'll probably use 35. But for electronic conditions, the only thing that really matters is the 0 point right here, because that's what you time off of on those. This here is strictly if you have your timing light, you're trying to spin balance and look at it, or spin time it. So they're not as critical, but this one over here for our TD mark is most critical. So I'm going to play this a little bit and show you what I do when I get closer. Okay, I'm trying to mock up my 0 point here. So what I do, I use my fat scale here, ruler, whatever you want to call it. You look at the gap between both sides and you center it. And you look up here where the crank pin is and you center that. And you can plainly see that this mark is slightly off. And that's our degree and the third half, whatever we got off. So you have to come up with different ways of eyeballing stuff to make it more accurate. So I'll do the same thing on this wheel over here. Center up off our two areas. And then I'll mark it up here. I can see between this 3/4 inch wide scale, I can see pretty easy where the center is. So I'll go ahead and mark this and go from there. Okay, I got my timing wheels centric around the lip of the flywheel here. You can see where I got this is my original mark right here. We're at 22.5, so we're splitting our 22-23 line. I put my 0 over here. And I've added 35 degrees of lead to it. And then you add 45 degrees of that to get the rudder cylinder, and that puts it over here at 80. It puts all the marks where we want them. So that gets laid out. Like I said, this was laid out by centering this up right here. So we look pretty equal right here, pretty equal right there, and right in the center over here. Just a tick off right there. That's the center point right there where I did it. So get you pretty close. So you can see how equal these are between here. Now you could be a degree off up here, and you'll see it pretty easy down here. So this should all be within a degree or so, which is more accurate than Harley does stuff. But if you want to double check it, we can take this wheel here, lay it up on top, and you can see how the marks kind of light up as you go around. And this one here is slightly different because I added a little bit more lead in it. Plus this flywheel is not quite centered the same, but put the camera down. You got to make sure everything is square when you check this stuff like this. So there's that mark. You look on it straight down, straight down, and over here, this one here is where our error is starting to show up. This is coming off another timing mark. Over here in the light better. It's pretty accurate still. So I'm going to go ahead and scribe these. I'll mark these. I'll go back with a little chop saw and I'll put a little mark across, grind a mark in here, and then I'll stamp them so we know what they are. Alright, there's our marks after we're all done. Put it up a little bit. You can see the original faint little red trail on next to the grind mark where I did it. Very hard to get it exactly on the money. This one's a little bit wider than that. Not because I wanted to, because I screwed up. Slightly to the right side of my red line, so I had to grind it back until the red line just about disappeared. You can just see a little bit of it right there in the tip. I had to move the line slightly over, so we should be within a ½ degree now. Anyway, I also marked the top, front, and rear. And wrong direction. And you can see S&S's marks, kind of. You can see my marks nice and big. So see how big they are, see how small they are. So you can see my marks inside the timing window, no problem. So now you go balance them. All this had to be done before balancing because this does affect the balance slightly, this little grinding mark. So we had to do it beforehand. So anyway, that's how you do timing marks. And if you're checking the marks, it's the same thing. You got to first measure it, see where you're at, and then go from there. So that's pretty much how you do it. And if you want to do it yourself, you got to find a timing wheel that is 8 inches in diameter, which is standard small block Chevy harmonic balancer size, I recall. It's probably what that's made for. So once you have an 8-inch timing wheel, it's pretty easy to do. Just got to pay attention and be careful. So there you go.